The Small Cap Power CEO Interview featuring Glen Eagle Resources. Glen Eagle Resources is a junior exploration company with properties in northern Quebec. They're a well-managed and non-dilutive company with 30 million shares outstanding after 5 years of operation. Fewer than 10 shareholders, including management, control approximately 12 million shares. On March 23rd, Small Cap Power met with President Jean Labrecque and asked him to tell us more about this company.
Glen Eagle Resources is listed on the TSX Venture Exchange under the ticker GER. Our primary focus is lithium, with a second project in gold and a third one in phosphate, which is an acquisition we've made lately. All these properties are located in Quebec, which is one of the best jurisdictions in the world. Regarding the lithium project, we have Canada Lithium, which is about 50-60 kilometers from our property. Suar is next to Eagle Hill, Bonterra, Metanor, which is a producer, and it has the property already has 100,000 ounces of gold, grading approximately 6.2 grams. And the third project, the latest acquisition, is phosphate, where the property is located approximately 50 kilometers north of Ariane Resources.
Can you tell us about the management at Glen Eagle?
From a management point of view, I took over this company in about 5-6 years ago with the philosophy in mind that we should not be dilutive to our investors. The company had at the time 13 million shares outstanding, and we're now at 30 million, meaning that we have issued approximately 17 million shares over a 5-year period. So this company has been managed very, very tight, and we intend to keep the same philosophy in the future.
Can you tell our viewers about your 2010 exploration program?
Based on the fact that we had a project, a deposit, an existing deposit of 4.5 million tons. And in 2010, we were able to not only prove up this deposit, but we had an increase of 40% over the original deposit, meaning now that we have 6.3 million tons of lithium oxide. And on top of the new resource estimates that we were able to prove up, there's this 2.2 kilometer zone that we have identified, a pretty big anomaly to the northwest of the original deposit, and it's an area that we intend to drill. We'll need to first do a survey and some groundwork, and then eventually to go and drill this additional anomaly. So the Authier property is comprised of 19 claims, and the actual deposit sits on approximately 1/10 of the property on 700 meters, and the property overall has something like 12 square kilometers. So this is just a fraction of the property, this pegmatite that we have identified on the deposit.
Can you tell us about your neighbors near the lithium deposit?
The closest good-sized company that is next to us is Canada Lithium, and they are expecting to bring this deposit to fruition, meaning that they have to set up a mill, and they've financed lately $150 million, and hopefully they will be in a position to set up their mill. We're approximately 15 kilometers on a flight path from Authier to their property.
Can you tell us about your recent phosphate acquisition?
Management wanted to diversify some of its risk, and in order to do so, we thought that phosphate has a very bright future from some of the analysis that we've done in talking to experts. And we had a chance to acquire this huge property comprised of 159 claims just north of Ariane Resources. Ariane has proved up 300 million tons of phosphate, and we have a huge anomaly an airborne signature that seems to be very similar to that of Ariane. And so what we intend to do very shortly is to do some groundwork and see if this deposit is indeed there. But we're very, very optimistic in terms of what we could have there.
Can you tell our viewers about your key gold deal?
It is a fairly significant deal in the sense that we decide again to minimize our risk, and we decided to option the property to Key Gold, which is a company not very diluted. They have roughly 22 million shares outstanding. Their stock trade at 35 cents. And we are bound to receive within the next year approximately 2.3 million shares of Key Gold, roughly 4 million shares over a 3-year period, plus approximately $500,000 in cash payments over 3 years. So Key Gold has the option to develop this property, which is next to Eagle Hill, has Metanor, a producer to the north, and Bonterra's in the area. The property had already resources of 110,000 ounces at 6 grams. And indirectly, through all the shares that we have in Key Gold, we will be a participant of this development without having to put up any money.
So what is your focus in 2011?
To develop the phosphate project, do the basic geology first, and then to drill it, possibly next fall. But for the summer, we have to do some groundwork, and to identify as well on the Authier lithium project additional pegmatites by doing groundwork on the property, and eventually do some additional drilling. So the strategy really for 2011 is to develop these two key projects, and then probably putting an emphasis on the phosphate project while we're awaiting the pre-feasibility study on the lithium. Our strategy is also to bring the lithium deposit to approximately 10 million tons, where we feel that at this stage the company will have a fairly good deposit with a 15-year mine life. And if the pre-feasibility study shows that the project is profitable, our in-house numbers is telling us that it should be, then 10 million tons is pretty much the target that we're aiming.
How are you financed for 2011?
So to execute our strategy, we're looking here at obviously raising additional funds. Not to a great extent, because we don't want to dilute our investors at this level. But once the share price, we feel that the share price is at a reasonable level, then we will do additional financing. But the upcoming one will be to a minimum to advance our projects.
Thank you, Jean. And finally, what would you consider the main investment catalyst for Glen Eagle?
The fact that there's a pre-feasibility study, which we expect to have within the next couple months. A very, very important milestone for the company. And the phosphate project, phosphate at this stage, right here, is very, very, it's a hot topic, and I think that it will remain so for the several years to come. There might be a lack of phosphate in the next couple of years from what we've gathered. And the fact that we think that we have a very good property that may have an important deposit on it, which remains to be proven, but I think that is a very, very important catalyst and upside for potential investors. And getting back to the lithium, after we've done the groundwork to locate more pegmatite, obviously the logic would be to do additional drilling and increase our resources and trying to reach our target, which is 10 million tons, as soon as possible.
For all you need to follow the Glen Eagle story, see their company hub on smallcappower.com. smallcappower.com. Investment ideas and research.